10th edition pre-orders went live this weekend, but was I worried about myself being able to get hold of the Leviathan box? Not at all. So stick around and I'll explain how Games Workshop cured my FOMO. How you doing, guys? Big Mac Down School back once again with another video for you. I'm sure you're intrigued as to how Games Workshop helped cure my FOMO, which, in case you didn't know, stands for fear of missing out. Is it perhaps the fact that the company has assured everyone that they've produced unprecedented numbers? Kind of, but maybe not in the way you think. The truth is, the reassurances from Games Workshop are neither here nor there. Do I believe that they've produced unprecedented numbers? I bloody well hope so, because they've not been producing much of anything else recently. And that gets us to the crux of the matter. Though I'm not one to bash Games Workshop, I just don't like the negative cycle that it creates. I think sometimes it's valid. So let's take a look back at some of the releases from this year that have gone off like a damp squib as a result of Games Workshop ramping up production on Warhammer 40k 10th edition. Exhibit A, Soul Shackle, early February. Kill Team Soul Shackle was a narrative box containing a Drukhari team facing off against a long-absent Imperial force, the Adeptus Arbites, in the close confines of a derelict space hull. Arbites? Arbites? Arbitus? Arbiters? Abattoirs? The pre-order sold out not long after going live, but what was the reason for that? Surely it's just because the box was so appealing, right? Let's probe a little deeper. The faction I first mentioned were the Dark Eldar, kinky space elves with a penchant for black leather, whips, and torturing lower life forms like humans to sustain their own abnormally long existence. Sounds alright to me. Appealing as that may be, the Drukhari miniatures in the box weren't something new. It was simply the Kabbalite warrior kit with an upgrade sprue thrown in to make your kill team more unique. Next we have the Arbites. This is a faction that hasn't been represented in miniature form since the late 90s. Please do correct me if I'm wrong there. They're one of those groups in the setting that until recently were remembered fondly by older gamers for their similarity to a certain dreadful judge from a 2000 AD comic. No reason to expect they'd be popular upon a return though, eh? The final piece of the puzzle in the Soul Shackle box is the terrain itself. These flexible modular walls and door sets not only make the perfect kill zone, but also work perfectly for the latest way to play small point games of 40k, boarding actions. During some reveals a short while back, I distinctly remember one of the two hosts boasting that 2 kill zones will give you enough terrain for a boarding action board. Fantastic stuff. I can use the terrain in multiple games. I can even use it in Zone Mortalis or Necromunda at a push. Oh wait, won't that make these boxes more popular though? I'm sure it'll be fine. Now we've brushed Exhibit A under the rug like so many red flags in a Tinder bio.
What you see is what you get. I say it how it is. Got 2 fur babies and they come first. Don't like it, do one. Banter is a must.
Let's move on to Exhibit B. Do I really need to do this? You're going to make me explain why a Primarch coming to 40k for the first time might be popular. Not to mention the fact that he's top dog of one of the most popular legions / chapters. Exhibit B, Lionel Johnson. I think it's because he looks like Tywin Lannister. And everything else I just said too. Not to mention the fact that a Primarch model is one that someone who doesn't even collect Dark Angels might want, either to convert them into a better Primarch, I'm looking at you, Daddy Dawn, or just paint something up to really push themselves. Under the rug we go.
Need someone to take me back to Thailand for the full moon party. Work hard, play harder, YOLO.
Now, on to Exhibit C. Exhibit C, most recently, Gallowfall. Moments after launch, the Gallowfall box, Gallow fell off the face of the planet. So, once again, we'll examine the contents and see if Games Workshop should have anticipated these high sales volumes. Hearthkin salvages. These vertically challenged abhumans are once again a kit that was already available to purchase, updated with a sprue that enables you to make a kill team that will be the envy of your gaming group. The star of the show? The guy with the jetpack? No, don't be silly. It's the guy with his sleeves torn off and knuckle dusters. Though this kit was already available to purchase, minus the upgrades through of course, this is the first time we've seen leagues of Votann represented in kill teams, so there's some obvious appeal there. Onto the terrain. More of that Gallowdark scenery that everyone and their mum can use. But what's the other kill team? Another long since forgotten unit in 40k. The Felgor Ravagers, aka Chaos Beastmen. Remember that abattoir I mentioned earlier? Well, these humans with the goat heads might just be the result of your friendly local slaughterman losing the plot and running off into the sunset with one of the animals whose aforementioned head was on the chopping block. A long-present abomination in the lore of 40k, this is the first time we're seeing a plastic miniature for this faction, outside of the Blackstone Fortress board game of course. Don't mind me, just doing some spring cleaning.
Willing to lie about how we met? 420 friendly if you know what I mean.
So what in particular is it about the recent shambolic releases that's broken GW's former FOMO spell on me? It's a lack of dedication to the fanbase. While I appreciate Games Workshop is a publicly traded company these days with shareholders to please, it leaves a bitter taste in the mouth for me when they half-arse things to the detriment of their player base. So I totally get why they're putting all their eggs in one basket, it's going to make them the most money, right? I can't back the idea that you should be doing that whilst leaving significant proportion of the hobbyists by the wayside. Will people be able to get kill teams separately in the future? Sure. Will the line be made available again without the pointless honour guard it comes with? Of course. But why make people wait? Why not just produce these items in sufficient quantities that you won't rile up the fan base into a mouth-frothing frenzy? Wouldn't it be better to commit to a made-to-order system for either the things that people are missing out on or, and here's an idea, the new edition of your most popular game? You could still release the rules digitally, like they've slowly been doing. People would still make new purchases based on armour lists that they want to try. Is there any real downside to this? Maybe someone more knowledgeable on the subject than me could drop a comment and explain why Games Workshop aren't doing this. I've heard a number of things recently on videos from the painting phase about production and it not being as straightforward as you might imagine when it comes to changing the tooling on the machinery they use to produce the products. But with a made-to-order system, where orders might take 2 to 6 months to fulfill depending on demand, surely you could keep something like that to a minimum. They've also spoken about production capacity on the painting phase and indicated that Games Workshop are currently running at maximum capacity. They want, or at least need, to expand but don't have the facilities in place to do it yet. This leads me to ask the question, do they have to be running at capacity all the time? Might it be better to instead slow down their frankly ridiculous release schedule? Speaking from my own point of view, if there weren't releases every week, I'd be far less likely to have the fatigue I have now when it comes to Games Workshop's newer products. To me, it's the same problem I have with basketball. Whilst I appreciate the skill and athleticism of a player or team, the sport itself, I just can't get into. Because the constant point scoring means I'm far less likely to get excited about a single basket being scored, when I know there's another basket to be sunk in less than a minute. A sport like football is far more suited to my brain because while neither team's scoring but both are trying, the tension's building, leading to a massive endorphin rush when my team scores. In short, if the Leviathan box was Games Workshop's first and only release in a month or two period, there's a good chance I'd be hyped up enough to pick it up. Having said that, by the time I'm recording this video, the Leviathan box is sold out, so obviously not everyone's brain works like mine. Have you noticed much moaning yet about people not being able to get the box? Because I've not seen a lot of it. Does this mean Games Workshop have the balance right then? It's hard to say. These big campaign boxes that they do at launch of an edition aren't actually supposed to be a way into the game. They're not starter sets. They're actually designed to get people super hyped up for the next edition of the game, and that's why they include brand new sculpts and even a ton of new units. The quantities produced will never be the same as a Recruit, Elite and Command edition that we saw in the 9th edition Warhammer 40,000 game. So it's a box that's always supposed to sell out and seem exclusive. Get it while you can. This has led to large parts of the community to refer to them as FOMO boxes. At times in the last few months, all the releases from Games Workshop have seemed like these FOMO boxes, leading to me developing a certain amount of fatigue and inadvertently curing my fear of missing out. So thank you Games Workshop for helping me not buy Leviathan, and I genuinely mean that, because those minis would have been sat in a box, unbuilt and unpainted, at least for months. I just wish you could sort out your production issues in such a way that didn't have a negative impact on other releases preceding a big launch. Until next time, I'll see you on the battlefield.
Boom shakalaka!